autumn always kind of sneaks up on me and surprised me. But yeah, we do have some autumnal colors too now, and we are going to try and photograph it. I'm going to show you how I go about shooting autumn. I'm not best at it, but I have managed to capture a couple of images I'm quite pleased with. So let's see what we can find today. One thing that's kind of tricky with autumn photography is making sense of it and not making it overwhelming. It's quite easy when you have quite vibrant colors, it's easy to be too much. That doesn't mean you have to make it simplistic and super minimal images. You can still make quite nice complete images if that makes sense. Just have to be careful. So what I'm looking at here is this small little tree here with there's some color in the leaves there. And it's standing amongst these like more darker, more prominent trees and giving some contrast there, something interesting going on there. I'm not sure I will make it work as the background is just a bit too messy. The leaves kind of get lost there. But that is what I look for, some sort of contrast, something that makes sense in the image. And then adding balance. And I think balance is key to make really nice autumnal images. I've been looking at that way. There's a couple of birches. I do think we'll have better luck there. So finally, I found an image. I'm standing in this like field of ferns or brackets, and they have shifted color. They are almost gone now. It's almost turning into this really dark brown, but there's still some yellows among them and some nice colors there. And it is like this field of birches. I do love myself some birches. But it has been hard finding a nice balanced frame. I do think I managed one finally. It's more of a warm-up image, but it is a nice enough image to share, I think. So I have this birch standing next to another darker tree, and they kind of contrast quite well, and they're like leaning towards each other. And then we have the like almost more dark brown ferns there. But what sold me on this composition is actually the birches in the background. They're just creeping in the background, giving some more interest to the image, and they are really bright white. So then it's just a matter of arranging so I don't have too much overlapping trees. I do think I managed it. I did up the first square format just to simplify a bit, and there is quite a lot of things going on around. Weird sounding animal. Anyhow, there's quite a lot of things going on, and just making a square simplifies it slightly. Still keeping it kind of complex, but I do think this works quite well as an image. A nice little warm-up image. Autumn is really awesome. It makes life so much easier. It's like playing with cheat mode enabled. And that's the only difference for me when it comes to autumn photography. It's the same with all other photography. You need a subject, you need some interest, you need good composition, etc. But it makes life so much easier. Kind of like with mist, it just makes everything looks better. The only thing I think is important with autumn photography, and the one thing I'm watching out for, and I've already mentioned it, it's quite easy to make images that are a bit overwhelming. You still need balance and calmness in images, I think. I think that's what separated great autumnal photography from good autumnal photography. I handle it by being extra careful, being extra selectful with what images they capture, but it really brings life to the woodlands. Your local woodlands, travel to big woodlands, but you don't need like those super exotic like oak trees that are just majestic and interesting in itself. Color just add that interest for you. It is a nice season for us photographer. Let's carry on, see if we can find any of those nice, colorful images. I might try to find subjects without using the camera and composition, but that's just general composition. Once I've found a subject I'm interested in and I have a general idea what I like to do, then I take out the camera, handheld, try and frame it up as best I can before committing to the tripod. So it's like before committing to the camera, find a subject in general composition, and check it with the camera, and then commit to the tripod and all the setup. Anyhow, the scene here, I was gravitated to this tree here that has quite a lot of colors in amongst its leaves. It's set against quite a dark background with more like green, dark green trees, so there's a contrast there and it makes some sort of interest there. And once again, ferns. Love the ferns when they're turning colors. We have this other tree just next to that small tree, which adds anchor to the image. I should put on a polarizer on my camera here. The polarizer it basically do two things, and one thing it does more than the other. One is it removes glare, and by doing so it also adds a bit more color or more saturation to the image. So it actually helps elevating that tree trunk to the left quite a bit in this image. So that was quite vital to make some interest to this image. Once again, I did take this in two versions. One a square, one your typical tree to framing. I do prefer the square version. Once again, I think the Hasselblad has converted me. And it is important to actually use the crop. For me, it's important to use the crop on the camera. You can't always crop in Photoshop or Lightroom. Problem there is though you might need a slightly different composition. So it's a slightly different moving, but because objects will interact differently. The same reason why you actually zoom in with the zoom lens. I could just crop it to 1:1 in post, but by doing it in the camera I actually noticed I moved like half a meter just to get framing more suitable for the square format. Final image of the day, and I'm quite excited by this image. Every now and then again you get an image you feel like this works, it's a nice image. And this is a proper landscape image. We have a foreground, a midground and a background. It's just nice trees. In the foreground we have this tree stump. That's actually what drew my eye to this scene. I just like how the tree stump looks with the moss there. And we have a nice little log in front of it. Then so happens we have these ferns around that has turned like golden brown and yellow and green, etc. Nice like little foliage there. We also then have two other tree stumps working as a midground. And 3 is a nice number in photography. Then we have in the midground, just next to those two tree stumps, we have this birch. My big love interest here in life, birches. It works really well as a subject matter in the midground. Then on the far right we have even better looking birches, like bright white birches, working as an anchor on that side of the image, on the right hand there. And then in the background you have a nice distribution of brownish trees, making sure I don't have overlapping trees. And at the really far background you have another birch, working as a fine like little spark of interest there. The only thing that worries me, kind of works in the back of the camera. The tree there on the left, that big tree with that green, it's quite dominant, quite dark in the image. I'm afraid it will offset the balance in the image. I think it will be balanced by the greens up on the right, but I'm not sure. I will know when I see the image on the computer. But in general, I really like this image. I hope it looks as good as computer as it does back of the screen. And with that, we are going to end this little video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care and bye.